On this week's show, an Ohio State football player quits in the middle of the game, and one of us was there to see history in the making at Ford Field.
Not the kind of history you want to be there for.
No, it was not.
As a Lions fan.
No, it was not.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story behind the origin of the Cheesehead hat.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode 216 for September 28th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yes, I am here, and we're going to talk about some stuff I'm happy to talk about, and we're definitely going to talk about some stuff I'm not so happy about.
Yeah, it's a typical week in the world of football, that's for sure.
Typical week in the life of a Lions fan, more like it, but I digress.
Yeah. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show, as well as selected video highlights. So, let's review what happened this past week, starting with Adam and the World of Football Scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to start things off with Thursday Night Football, which saw Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers defeat the Houston Texans in Houston 24-9. Carolina becoming 3-0 to start a season for the first time since
2005.
No, 2015, and that very year they went to the Super Bowl. Ooh. So could Super Bowls be in Carolina's future?
Who knows?
But I'm liking seeing the Panthers be good, especially for Sam Darnold. I feel very happy for that kid after a few seasons with the Jets which weren't too good.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for the guy. That they kind of ate him up and spit him back out. And yeah. I'm glad to see. I like seeing quarterbacks, bounce back from a bad situation like Tannehill did in Tennessee. And now we got Sam Darnold here in Carolina. But we're going to jump and talk about Ryan Tannehill next. That's why I fumbled over my words.
Oh, okay.
But anything from you on that game?
No.
All right, well then we move on. The Tennessee Titans, with Ryan Tannehill at the helm, defeated the Indianapolis Colts 25-16. Running back Derrick Henry has 353 rushing yards this season, which is tied for the most through the first 3 weeks in team history. And they've had a couple of good running backs there in Tennessee. Yeah. Eddie George and then, who was it, Chris Henry several years back? I want to say that was his name. They've had a couple of guys go through
right.
Tennessee.
Eddie George is the first one that comes to my mind.
There's another one a few years after Eddie George. Chris Johnson maybe? But yeah, they've had some really good running backs there in Tennessee. A couple of them, I think, have done the 2,000-yard thing. So good for them. Good for Derrick Henry, the rushing king right now. So we move on to New York, where the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Giants 17-14. Atlanta's kicker, I forget how to pronounce his first name, but Mr. Koo had the game-winning 40-yard field goal as time expired.
Yeah, this was the game where they retired Eli Manning's number 10 at halftime also.
And they had a lot of fans booing the ownership there at MetLife Stadium.
Seems to be a trend in the NFL.
Oh, boy. Trust me, we're going to get into it. Maybe not exactly in the scoreboard segment, but we're going to get into it. Trust me. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. Moving on, how do the Chiefs have a lot to talk about? Because they fell to the Los Angeles Chargers at home 30-24. Kansas City has lost 2 straight games for the first time since
2005.
Weeks 5 and 6 of 2019. So
that never happens in 2005.
No.
But I keep trying.
You keep trying, and you are wrong every time.
Yeah.
But any thoughts from that? The Chargers, Justin Herbert looked fantastic against the Chiefs.
Yeah, this was I didn't see a whole lot of this game, but from what I did see, it was pretty close all game long, and it just, it's like the second week in a row that it was an extremely close game that just didn't go Kansas City's way.
Just couldn't pull it out there at the end. Patrick had the ball at the end of the game too, and they just couldn't.
It's what you want.
Yeah, it's what you want, and and we'll talk about some other games where you give guys enough time, they're going to pull it out at the end. And Patrick's one of those guys usually, so a little surprised that they weren't able to pull it out.
Well, it's early in the season. Yeah.
It is early, and congratulations to the Chargers. You can't knock them for what they did. So
yeah, that was their first game in their new stadium, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was in Kansas City.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, first game. SoFi's been open for a year now, so.
Well, I'm just saying with fans.
Even then, I think they had a home game. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, but also of note, Andy Reid went to the hospital after this game.
Yeah, I never heard anything since.
As far as
then.
I know, he's okay. They didn't think it was, well, from what I understood, they didn't think it was too bad. They were just being overly precautious. So, I mean, obviously, well wishes and best to Andy Reid. We don't want to see anything happen to him. One of the best coaches we got in the league. So,
yep.
All right, moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals shocked the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-10 in Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, it's their first road win in Pittsburgh since
2005.
Week 8 of 2015. Man, you're really bad at guessing.
Yes, I am. I didn't see this one coming.
No, I didn't either.
Cincinnati beating Steelers?
I mean, Cincinnati's got a nice young team. We thought the Steelers' defense would be a lot better than what they've shown the last few weeks. And is Ben Roethlisberger finally on the decline? It's hard to say, but
who knows?
I mean, good for those Bengals. Good for a young team to get a nice win like that against a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, the Cleveland Browns just pretty much got to have their way with the Chicago Bears, 26-6. Chicago had one net passing yard during the game.
No,
one net passing yard. Yes,
and that was Justin
Fields. Yep,
first start.
His first start. Yeah, he lost a lot of yards on the 9 sacks that the Browns were able to get on him that day.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and not very pretty for.
I guess
if
not.
you're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Yep, we got that breaking NFL news, which we'll talk, I guess, a little bit later.
You throw these rookies in there, and man, it just,
hey, some get it right away, some don't.
Works and sometimes it
I think it's just a matter of a young rookie quarterback who will probably be fine coming up against a really good Cleveland Browns defense.
Yeah. Well, he was in there because of an injury to Andy Dalton.
True, but even then, I mean, he played a little bit last week.
But it's not like the team decided, okay, he's ready to be our starter. No, this wasn't the case. He had to fill in for an injured starter.
But even then, to only get one net passing yard, I mean, that's when's the last time you've seen that happen in the NFL?
Know. That's probably a record somewhere.
Maybe
the lowest amount of passing yards for starting quarterback.
Yeah. Moving on, the New Orleans Saints defeated the New England Patriots 28-13 in Foxborough. For New Orleans, this is their first win in New England since
2015.
1995. Oh, man, you can't catch a break.
No, I can't.
Next game, the Arizona Cardinals defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-19. For Arizona, this is their first 3-0 start since...
Oh, God, 1974.
You're going to hate this. It's 2015. They went to the conference championship that year.
Oh.
But, man, from this game... the 68-yard missed field goal by Matt Prater, returned by another former Detroit Lion, Jamal Agnew, 109 yards, tying the longest play ever in NFL history.
That was Jamal Agnew?
That was Jamal Agnew,
I did not
former Detroit
that.
Lion. Yep.
Oh,
so former Lion kicker had his missed kick returned by another former Detroit Lion, all the way to the house, 109 yards, at the end of the first half. So... good for both of them.
Two more players that got away from Detroit and did well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess not so good because Prater missed the field goal.
Right, but 68 yards, I mean, you don't expect to make that. And it was...
No, you don't expect to make that. And we're going to talk about the one...
Yeah,
there's another kick. Don't get me fired up just yet. We're almost there. Moving on, the Buffalo Bills had their way with the Washington football team 43-21. Josh Allen becomes the first player in Buffalo Bills history with 4 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and a rushing touchdown in a game. Wow, this kid, Josh Allen, he was the one quarterback of that draft class I had no hope or expectations for. And this kid has become the second coming of Jim Kelly out there in Buffalo. Good for him. I'm really digging seeing the Bills be really good.
Well, at least he's living up to the big contract he got.
Yeah.
And normally, as soon as somebody gets a big contract, whether you're a running back or a wide receiver or a quarterback, the minute you get that big quarterback, you stink.
Oh, you mean that big money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good for him.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean,
good for the Bills.
He got that money, and is he playing real well. He, one of the MVP candidates. I'm way too early in the season to talk about that, But this kid, if he keeps this up, I mean, Josh Allen is a force to be reckoned with. Another force to be reckoned with is just how bad the Jets are, apparently, because they fell to the Broncos 26 to donut.
That wasn't a loss. That was a shutout. I mean,
yeah, it was a shutout. Yeah, I feel bad for Jets fans, and I'm a Lions fan saying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, shoot, I won't. They have a new head coach, rookie quarterback.
Right.
There's obviously still trying to figure things out there, and Denver just had their way with them.
This is the quarterback's third game. What's his name?
Put me on the spot. I can picture him right now from BYU. From BYU.
But I mean, this is his third game, and he's getting worse in 3 games. I mean, any rookie quarterback is gonna struggle, but it just seems like in 3 games he's gotten progressively worse. I mean, not much worse you can get than being shut out by your opponent. So we'll see how he does in the coming weeks. I hope they don't, pull him out too soon. Let him stay in there and take his lumps and learn from it and get better.
Zach Wilson, by the way.
Zach Wilson.
I can't believe I was blanking on it too, but I had to pull it up here on the app. But for the Jets, unfortunately, guys, you've lost 12 straight games in September, which is the longest active streak in the NFL. So, ouch.
Yeah.
The hits just keep on coming if you're the Jets.
Yeah.
But
maybe they need to go back to those white helmets and white uniforms.
Maybe they do. I miss those white helmets.
The Joe Namath era uniform.
Maybe next year they can finally start using those as an alternate because the new helmet rule.
Yeah,
God, I can't wait for the new helmet rule. All right, moving on. The Miami Dolphins and the wow, I did it. I said I wasn't going to do it at all this season.
Yeah.
I did it. Dang it.
There you go.
And the Las Vegas Raiders got into a shootout. This game went to overtime. For a while, the Dolphins were leading there. Then Las Vegas came back. Then these two teams kind of were neck to neck, went to overtime, and Las Vegas finally got the win with a field goal to win in overtime, 31-28. Las Vegas, it's their first 3-0 start since
2015.
2002, when they lost in Super Bowl 37 to the Buccaneers. So, yeah.
Do we have to have instead of a swear jar, do we need to have an Oakland Raiders jar? Every time you say Oakland Raiders instead of Las Vegas.
Well, since I've done it once, if I do it again, we'll start the jar.
Buck in the jar.
Yeah. Moving on.
Did you mention this was their second overtime game?
No, I didn't. But yeah, this was their second overtime game this season.
First week and the third week, they had overtime games and won both.
Yeah, they won both and 3-0 on the season. So good for the Raiders. And I was getting worried for John Gruden. I mean, I don't hate him or love him one way or the other, but I was kind of like, man, you feel bad for this guy. Comes back into coaching after having a really cushy gig at ESPN for a few years.
10 years almost.
Yeah, just to get back into coaching, and you're kind of like, I hope he has success, but I don't know how this is going to go. Gets that 10-year contract, $100 million or whatever it was, and hasn't looked great the last couple of years. But all of a sudden, maybe things are finally clicking.
Yep.
And so give John Gruden credit.
Yep.
And that team. I mean, Derek Carr obviously too. Give Derek Carr a lot of love. This dude. We thought Matt Stafford was underappreciated. Derek Carr might be the most underappreciated quarterback in the NFL. Moving on, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Seattle Seahawks 30-17. But how about this on the other side of the ball? Russell Wilson, it's his first career loss versus Minnesota. He was 7-0, including the playoffs.
Wow. Yeah.
So
I did not see this one coming either.
I mean, you'll see our pick video in a couple of days, but I called that.
Did
I called
you?
Minnesota getting that
Okay.
win, everybody. This is my one claim to fame this week.
I wasn't I wasn't giving Minnesota much hope in this one. I thought it was going to be all Seattle, but wow, that was a shock.
Yep. Moving on. How about this? The Los Angeles Rams defeated Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, Super Bowl champions, in SoFi Stadium, 34-24.
Yeah, I watched that whole game.
Yeah, for Tampa Bay, this is their first loss since.
Oh gosh.
Don't worry, you don't have to go back that far.
2019.
Week 12 of 2020.
Oh.
Like I said, you didn't have to go back that far.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Think they
Only
went
up by
undefeated
1 game.
last season? But no, I got to see bits and pieces of this game driving home from the game I was at. And how about Matt Stafford? Stafford pretty much,
4
from what
touchdowns.
I saw, carved up that Tampa Bay defense. Pretty much had his way with them. I mean, Tom Brady still looked decent, too. I mean, he threw 430 yards, ran for a touchdown, threw another touchdown. So, I mean, Brady was fine. It was just, as a total team effort, Los Angeles just had Tampa's number.
They put a lot of pressure on Brady. I mean, he was under pressure most of the game from what I saw, and I think that was the big difference, was the pressure that they were able to get on him. They kind of got him out of his comfort zone, and Stafford was just sitting back there. Did he get sacked in that game? I don't remember.
I'm sure. I think I saw one sack.
But
at least.
He threw 4 touchdowns and over 300 yards. So yeah, he had a great day.
Yeah. So is LA the best team in the league? I think a lot of people have them as their number one team right now. I think you beat the Super Bowl champs.
But again, it's a long
season. It's only week 3. So much can happen.
Yep.
I mean, we know Stafford's injury history. I'm not saying he would be out for like the whole season. We've seen him play with a broken back, for goodness sake. Yeah. So who knows? Anything can happen in the NFL.
These two will meet again before this.
I hope these two teams meet again. Like, did you see Tom Brady on the sideline after that game? Just head hanging low. Oh boy, it's that vintage look where you're like, whoever Brady plays next is gonna get thumped. And they're playing the Patriots next week.
Oh, that's right.
So, sorry, Patriots fans. Yeah. I think that's gonna go pretty bad. But also, I mean, you see him do that. So the next time these two teams face off, I wouldn't be surprised if Brady, really was gunslinging. 430 yards, try 600 yards next game.
We will see. We'll see.
Then how about this great Sunday night game this turned out to be? The Green Bay Packers just edged out the San Francisco 49ers 30-28 on another last-second field goal.
Yeah, I watched some of this game. I think I fell asleep.
I watched the beginning of this game before I had to take off, but Green Bay looked like they had everything in control. I was shocked to see that it took them a game-winning field goal to, seal this up. But the 49ers were able to claw back and make it a game, and even at times put Green Bay back on their heels. So
they were up. I believe it was 17-0 at one point, and they were just having their way in that game.
Yeah, Mason Crosby. It was a 51-yard field goal to win that game as time expired. So shoot.
Been a lot of that going on this week.
Kickers are very important. I will not stand for people saying kickers don't matter.
Yeah.
They matter.
Yeah, this season they do, that's for sure.
And then on Monday Night Football, there was a blowout of a game. I'm going to call it a blowout, 20 points. The Cowboys pretty much stomped all over the Philadelphia Eagles, 41-21. Dallas is 41 points in each of their last 2 games against, or had 41 points in each of their last 2 games against Philadelphia on Monday night.
Wow.
So if you're Philly, you don't want to see Dallas on the Monday night schedule anymore. Yeah. But from what I saw, I was really hoping that Jalen Hurts would have a nice big coming out party. The young quarterback for the Eagles. It started off a little rough. I think eventually he found his rhythm. But, I mean, when Dallas is up a few scores, I mean, who knows how light that defense is playing on him.
Yeah, the Dallas running game was really clicking.
Oh, yeah. Between Zeke finally kind of looking like he caught his stride, and then Pollard, the other running back for Dallas, just looking like he had his way. That Dallas offensive line is pretty good. And I thought Dak looked great. Might have been a touchdown he should have had that didn't get called a touchdown. So, hey, what can you do? You still get the win. But, So that's it for our regular set of scores from the scoreboard. And now, though, yes, we left one game out because we're going to sit here and talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens, where the Detroit Lions fell 19-17 on a last-second NFL record 66-yard field goal.
Well, what's worse is you were there. You and your brother were there in the end zone where the ball was coming right towards you.
Not right directly on. Let me be clear.
You were off to the.
I was off to the side,
but you were in that end zone.
I could turn my head just barely to the right, look right down at the goalpost when I saw, from my angle. First off, fun atmosphere. I loved being there. The stadium wasn't packed, but it was still pretty full. It was lively. It was great to see the crowd like that. And that second half was great. That crowd got into it. It was super energetic. The Lions clawed back, got the lead.
Yes.
And that atmosphere was great. It was nuts. It was so much fun.
Didn't look like anybody left that stadium.
No. Oh, thank goodness they didn't. Like, nobody left. Everybody who had shown up was still there. But then that last minute or so was pretty tough. But then obviously the field goal, because from my angle, it didn't look like that field goal was going to make it. My brother turned to me and he goes, This would be a record. Like, he's kicking a 66-yarder. And I was like, boy, I mean, they're obviously, you don't kick that unless you're, A, confident and think that he can make it. Or, so I was thinking, so there's at least a chance he could make it. But the whole time I'm like, there's no way. There's no way he's going to make it. And for a split second, as that ball was coming through the air, it looked like as soon as I saw it kind of dropping, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be short. Thank God it's going to be short. Maybe just short, but it's going to be short. Then it hits the crossbar. And I was like, holy crap, it actually got to the crossbar. And then it bounced up, and I was like, thank God it's going to bounce out. Nope, it bounced towards the fans. Towards the net. It was in. You could just kind of hear the air get sucked out of the room, and I was just in awe. I wasn't even mad. I was just like, this just happened. This is the most Lions thing I've ever seen in person.
I was sitting at home watching that game, and when they said it was 66 yards, I just kept saying, he's not going to make this. It's going to be short. He's not going to make it. 66 yards? Come on. And I was just certain that it wasn't going to be long enough, and that we were going to get our first win of the season. And I was just, I'm
surprised
upset.
You still have a TV after that. I'm not going to lie. I thought there'd be a remote control lodged in the TV when we got back. I thought for sure you'd be, hey, boys, we need to go to Best Buy and buy a new TV tonight.
Well, there were several plays in that fourth quarter that are very suspicious. And to me, the officiating crew was not very good. There was one play where, I forget which Lion player it was, but he was running towards the goal line, and he leapt over a defending player, and he reached the ball out. And from the angle they showed on TV, it looked like the ball crossed the plane of the goal. And that should have been a touchdown, but they didn't call it. We didn't challenge it. 2 plays later, we actually scored, and they had to review it. And when I first saw it, I said, "Oh yeah, that's a touchdown." And then when I saw a certain angle, you could see that his knee was down before you. So that should not have been ruled a touchdown. And then there was the call or the no call, where it should have been a delay of game. But the refs didn't call that either. So there's just so many things. It's just add this to the list of cursed games that the Lions have had. So many times that the Lions have lost on the last play because the refs gave the team an extra play. Remember the one with Aaron Rodgers a few years ago where somebody, just maybe grazed his face mask with a fingertip, and they gave him an extra play on the last, with no time on the clock, and he threw a 75-yard
pass. I'm gonna stop you right there.
No, you can't, man. I'm too pissed off. So many times there should be a video. I'm sure there's a video out there of all the times Detroit has been screwed over by the refs or some other.
Okay, let me run down the list.
Calvin
I don't have it in front of me yet. Let's start with the Calvin. And I hate doing this.
Against the Bears.
Calvin Johnson's catch rule against the Bears, which was nullified. There's the batted out ball against the Seahawks, where Detroit should have got the ball back, but instead they gave the Seahawks a touchback. There was the 61-yard last-second field goal by this same kicker, Justin Tucker, in Detroit 8 years ago to win that game. There was the picked-up flag during the playoff game against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Then you had the Aaron Rodgers, like 1 or 2 Hail Marys he put up against us to finish the game before.
And even Brett Favre had a Hail Mary.
Well, I'm not going that far back.
Time. I remember watching that one too, and that still upsets me.
But, I mean, everybody talks about how the Lions get jobbed on officiating, and they have. But for this,
end of story. You don't need to say any more.
But for this game, I'm going to be maybe the most hated Lions fan right now. I'm not going to blame officiating on this loss.
I hate you, son.
Yep. You and every other Lions fan probably, but I'm gonna listen to me, fellow Lions fans. If you're watching this, listen to me and listen to me good, because you cannot blame the officiating on this game.
You cannot,
and because I turned and asked my brother, "Are the Lions playing just to kick a field goal right now?" So at the end of the game, Lions have the ball. Ravens have 2 timeouts, first down. Lions run a 1-yard play, timeout. Okay, cool, I get it. You're causing them to waste timeouts, right? Second play, same thing. Ravens call the second timeout. You'd think, perfect. All you got to do is try to get a first down. You can run the clock down a little more. You're Detroit. Call that timeout. Get that field goal to win the game maybe. But no, they ran a third weak running play. It was now 4th and 8 or 4th and 6 or whatever it was at the time. And it was just like they didn't even try. That's what gets me. The coaching staff, I get it. They're a new coaching staff. But they did not try to at least get a first down so you can knock that clock down. And as we have learned, not even in just Lions games, no matter, you're facing Aaron Rodgers, you're facing Patrick Mahomes, if you're facing Tom Brady, you do not give that opposing quarterback over a minute to go. I don't care if they have 1 timeout, 2, 3, or no timeouts. You do not give them that time, and the Lions did that. That was that was the biggest thing right there.
That is true.
You kick the field goal, you go up, sure.
They should have been more aggressive.
Congratulations, Detroit. You were up by 1 point with 1:05 left, but you're giving the ball back to a young Lamar Jackson who can run it and throw it. So on 4th and 19, guess who was not shocked that the Ravens threw that pass and got that first down?
That's true.
Me.
That's true.
Because that's what happens when you take the ball and give it to them with 1:05 left. That can happen. That's where my biggest beef was. Then on top of it, the 66-year, whatever. At the stadium, I didn't even see the delay of game. Whatever. That wasn't even on my mind. I was too busy watching what Lamar was doing. Then was really confused when he just threw the ball out of bounds. That alone, I was wondering, should that have been, I think in my head, I was thinking, should that have been intentional grounding? Like, he just, threw it out of bounds.
I don't know. I think there was a receiver in there.
Whatever. Maybe there was. Again, I was at the game, heat of the moment. Then the field goal happens. And, like I said, I wasn't even mad. I was semi-impressed, wow, I was just here to witness the longest kick in NFL history. And on top of it going, we just lost on the stinking 66-yard. We would be the team that lost on a last-second record-breaking field goal.
Well, this is twice.
I know, the second time. Tom Dempsey did it in 1970.
Yep. New Orleans over Detroit on the last play of the game, 60.
So whoever breaks the next record, guess what? It's probably going to be against Detroit. So, whatever. But no, so on top of that, I was at the game. And I also want to talk about Calvin Johnson was at the game. The other big story there was at halftime, Calvin came out, got his Hall of Fame ring.
Yep.
But the fans, and here's another thing, Detroit Lions fans, why? They booed Martha to Kingdom Come.
Not a classy move.
It was not classy. I get it. We're all frustrated with the losing, with being the punchline of the NFL jokes. It's frustrating. It really is. And everybody just automatically blames the Ford family. I'm sorry. Martha's been the owner for 4 years or whatever. Then she handed it to Sheila. Sheila's literally been the owner for about a year, less than a year. And you're blaming all your frustrations on these two ladies who had nothing to do with the previous losing, for decades. They have nothing to do with it. Leave them out of it. Has their family been the problem? I don't know. Maybe you could make that rationale, but I don't think it's fair to boo those particular owners during a ceremony that is supposed to be for one of your greatest players of all time. So I feel like the ceremony for Calvin was ruined, despite as soon as Calvin started talking, everybody cheers. Or anything pointed at Calvin, everybody starts cheering for him, letting the ownership know we care about him. So I'm wondering if a lot of that frustration was more with everybody saying pay Calvin that money, that everybody knows the issue. He wants the whatever money. And for whatever reason, I kind of, I heard Pat McAfee talk about it. The Lions can't just give him that money. It's weird how that works, but there is a reason that they cannot just hand him money without it affecting the team salary cap or whatever.
Right.
So there's a bunch of issues around it. So fans, let's just calm down. If Calvin, be happy he at least showed up, and that he did say at least that he is going to be back at more events. He mentioned something to that regard, he's going to keep seeing us. So just cool it.
Yeah, everybody knows it's kind of a touchy situation. That he holds some animosity towards the Ford family for what happened when he retired. So already this was a touchy situation with Martha and Sheila there, and Calvin being there, and it just exacerbated the situation that the crowd just booed. And I saw a little bit of the video. Of course, they didn't show it on TV. That whole halftime ceremony was not shown, but I did see. I think it was from one of the people in the press box.
Could have been. There was a lot of videos. There was a lot of videos of people booing, and I was just sitting there with my hand over my mouth, I can't believe we're actually doing that. And it wasn't a section. It wasn't half of the stadium. It was pretty much the whole stadium booing. It was, like I said, I was disheartened, but at the same time, I get their frustration. So it's well, at least they're all in unison. They're all on the same page. So I don't know how I feel about it.
There's a history of that in Detroit. I was at a game many years ago when it was just a few years after Barry Sanders retired, and a lot of people were upset with Barry. Not the fact that he retired, but how he retired. That was a very bad situation when he retired. And a few years later, I'm at the game, and they throw up a graphic of Barry's new book that he just wrote about his career. And when that book went up on the screen, literally half of the stadium booed very loudly. People were still upset, years later. So there's a history of that in Detroit. It's not a pretty thing to see or to be a part of, but it's there, and you've got to move on from it.
I know, and I know we got to move on, but real quick, I guess I just want to mention, and then if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll throw up a couple of pictures from my. I got to see the bust of Calvin Johnson, which was pretty cool. I got my picture taken with the Calvin Johnson's Hall of Fame bust, as well as Alex Karras's Hall of Fame bust. He had a ceremony prior to the game, which we had just missed. We kind of got to the game a little late, so I was like trying to rush to my seat while everybody else was getting food and drinks and go to the bathroom, whatever. I just went straight to my seat as soon as we got to the stadium. It said I got there for the tail end of it, finding my seat, but it was cool. They honoring him, and they had a video. I don't know if they had video. They definitely had a picture up on the video board, so it was nice. And like I said, other than the fact that it was a last-second loss on an NFL record kick, I had a good experience. I don't know if there's anything else you want to know. I mean, we talked about the booing. That was something we talked about it. But
yeah, well, it is what it is. It's Detroit. We're very passionate fans, and sometimes we don't always make the best decisions.
No, we do not. All right, moving on. It's time to go over the CFL scoreboard.
Yes.
Yes, there's CFL games last weekend, and guess what? There's even a game tonight, Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday night football.
There's a Tuesday night football game in the CFL.
But last week started out on a Wednesday night.
Week 8 started on Wednesday last week, a day after we got done recording the last podcast. Mm-hmm. The Hamilton Tiger Cats defeated the Ottawa Red Blacks 24-7. In just his second CFL start, Hamilton quarterback David Warford completed 15 of 25 passes for 115 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 11 times for another 54 yards. In the third quarter, defensive back Jamal Roll intercepted a pass and returned it 87 yards for a touchdown. How about that?
That was a great play.
Yeah.
Great play.
And then the only score for Ottawa came in the fourth quarter when wide receiver Devontae Dedmon returned a punt 63 yards for a touchdown.
Those were the two highlights of the game. The interception return and a punt return, one by each team.
I'm telling you, man, I love seeing a good punt return in the CFL. There's just something, it hits a little different than an NFL highlight of a punt return or a kick return. Yeah. The field just looks so much bigger.
The field's a little wider.
There's a lot more bodies out there. And it just looks so much cooler, I think, in the CFL. Yep. That's right, at me, haters out there. All right, next game, Friday night, we had a doubleheader. The Toronto Argonauts defeated the Montreal Alouettes 30-27 with quarterback Nick Arbuckle out with an injury. It was McLeod Bethel-Thompson who led the Argos to a win and a tie for first place in the Eastern Conference. Bethel-Thompson was 13 of 19 for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Damien Jean-Pierre caught 4 passes for 91 yards, and wide receiver Chandler Worthy caught 4 passes for 85 yards and a touchdown. On the Montreal side of things, it was quarterback Vernon Adams, who was 30 of 39 for 382 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 2 interceptions. And then running back William Stanback had rushed 19 times for 133 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Jake Winky and Eugene Lewis each had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown catch. Montreal had the better stats in this game, but it was Toronto who got the win, which goes to show you stats don't mean nothing. You got to come out and you got to win the game.
What are you doing with those stats? Are you scoring points or not? And the Argos scored just enough to win, even though their stats were not nearly as good as the Montreal stats.
Good to see the Argos bounce back. I even wore, I don't know if I told you this, I wore an Argos shirt to work last week.
I did.
Or my Argos shirt. And I had one guy, I don't think he was a regular worker there. He was like a corporate guy, kind of walking around. He saw me wearing their shirt and he goes, Argos, huh? You Canadian? I said, eh? And,
of course you did.
Yeah, I did. I know. We had a nice little chuckle, but I was like, nah, I'm just a fan. So just the fact that a rando kind of just stops and knows and actually says Argos, because if a regular person sees it, they'll probably fully say Argonauts.
Right.
But anybody who says Argos, they know.
Uh-huh.
They know.
I know.
And you know. And I know. That just makes me think of the Psych theme song.
Yes, I know.
I know.
I know you know.
Yeah. I hope everybody looks that up now. Saskatchewan Roughriders defeated the British Columbia Lions 31-24. If you've never seen Psych, everybody, I'm just going to throw that out there. Psych was a great show. If you got Peacock, Watch it on Peacock. It is a fantastic
show.
Such a good show. What a random
I still have to see their latest movie.
What?
We saw the first one.
Are we
but not
really
the
talking
second
about
one.
Psych on this show? We should talk about that football episode they did.
Yeah, filmed at the BC place.
There you go.
Stadium.
Speaking of British Columbia, Saskatchewan defeated British Columbia 31-24. See how I got us back on the rails? That's how you do it. Both teams were 4-2 going into the game. The Riders had to come from behind in the closing minutes to get their 5th win of the season. Saskatchewan quarterback Cody Fajardo was 24 of 31 for 279 yards, as well as getting a touchdown there. He also ran 8 times for 32 yards and had, guess this, another touchdown.
Wow.
Wide receiver Lucky Whitehead had 6 receptions for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 47-yard catch and run for a touchdown in the first quarter.
That was an awesome play too. We've talked. This is the 3rd week in a row he's had a
Lucky Whitehead
play.
is like, he's our go-to guy now.
Had a kick return one week, and I forget what the other play was, but it's the 3rd week in a row that we've mentioned his name as being one of the highlights of that team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good for him.
Yep. And then on bye this week, we had not 1, not 2, but 3 teams on bye this week.
Yeah.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Edmonton Elks, and Calgary Stampeders all had the week off. But tonight we will get to see Edmonton playing Calgary.
Yeah,
so.
full slate of games this week. Four games, 8 teams playing.
Yeah, but like I said, Tuesday night football starts at week 9. But let's take a quick look at the standings before we wrap up the CFL portion of the scoreboard. In the West, it's Winnipeg at the top with a 6-1 record, followed by Saskatchewan with a 5-2 record, and those 2 losses, both to Winnipeg. British Columbia at 4-3, followed by Edmonton at 2-4, and then Calgary still at the bottom with a 2-5 record. Shifting over to the East, it was Hamilton and Toronto, both up there, 1-2 still technically. I mean, they have the same record, but we have to put one in front of the other. So Hamilton at number 1 with a 4-3 record, followed by Toronto 4-3. Montreal at the number 3 spot with a 2-4 record, and then Ottawa rounding out the East with a 1-5 record, and that's it for our CFL portion of the scoreboard. Now we turn things over to Randy, where he's going to give us all the good information, scores, highlights, whatever you want to talk about from college football, all the many platforms, levels, border to border. I can't think of any more weird things to say. Take it over.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Let's start out at the FBS level with the top 4. And it was number 1 Alabama over Southern Miss, 63-14. It was number 2 Georgia shutting out Vanderbilt, 62-0. Number 3 Oregon over Arizona, 41-19, and number 4 Oklahoma over West Virginia, barely, by the score of 16-13.
Yeah, we watched a little bit of that game. Spencer Rattler got booed by the home fans too. That was a sight to see. But yeah, what a tough, hard-fought game. West Virginia should have been able to pull that out, but they just couldn't there, and Oklahoma got the win.
Yeah. All right. In another top 25 score, it was number 12 Notre Dame over number 18 Wisconsin, 41-13. This was Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly's 106th win with the program, surpassing the great Newt Rockne, who stood at 105 for a long time. Lou Holtz, several years ago, he got up to 100 wins. So you've got 3 coaches there at Notre Dame, all with over 100 wins apiece. And congratulations to Brian Kelly. I didn't think Brian Kelly had been at Notre Dame long enough.
It feels like
to have 106 wins with that team.
I know it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that he's been hired there, but man, get 100 wins. He's been there for a while because we remember him when he was the Grand Valley State head coach up here, just an hour north of us here in Grand Rapids, and then
did he go to Central? Was he at Central?
Then he moved up to Central Michigan, won a MAC title or a couple MAC titles with them, turned that program around.
Right.
Then he jumped up to Cincinnati, kept that. I think they turned into a decent program up there. Then he comes to Notre Dame. I think he struggled at first, but here he is. Yeah. Now they're in and out of the national championship conversation every year. So he's done something right up there. The dude can coach.
Yeah,
say what you will about his attitude in some of his interviews, but the dude can flat out coach and to outwin Newt Rockne at Notre Dame. This gets you a this gets you a statue, does it not, on campus somewhere?
It just might.
I think it gets you a statue.
Eventually, maybe
eventually,
not today,
as long as you don't have any crappy things come out about you afterwards. This gets you a statue. But also this game, don't forget, this was at Soldier Field in Chicago. So this was a neutral site game where Notre Dame just took it to Wisconsin. And what I thought was funny was that we were kind of keeping an eye on this score because we were at the Western Michigan game this weekend. Right. But Notre Dame, going into the fourth quarter, it was 17 to 13, I think, with Notre Dame winning. So it looked like a close game. Then I go to check the score later, and somehow they scored 41 points altogether. So what, 24-point fourth quarter. I was like, what the heck happened to Wisconsin?
Yeah. But yeah, Brian Kelly, now the all-time winningest coach in Notre Dame history. All right, let's move on to some upsets. North Carolina State upset number 9 Clemson, 27-21 in double overtime. Let's see. Baylor upset number 14 Iowa State, 31-29. Number 16 Arkansas upset number 7 Texas A&M, 20-10. And I put this in the upsets. It really wasn't an upset, but we were there. We were there at this game. Western Michigan defeated San Jose State 23-3.
Hold on. Why is this an upset? Just because they were the Mountain West champs?
I did not realize that they were the defending Mountain West champions from last year. I had to find someplace to put this in, and so it wasn't really
upsets. I wouldn't know.
It wasn't really a blowout, but to me, it's kind of an upset because you've got a Mountain West team, champion coming here to Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo, and they took it right to them. I mean, 23-3. It wasn't much of a contest. I was shocked that they didn't play better.
I mean, San Jose came out first drive, kicked the field goal, so that 3 points was literally on their first drive. Then Western had 20 unanswered with, mind you, their head coach was not even at the game. Western's head coach was out with COVID. Tim Lester, who we've had on the show thanks to you. He wasn't able to be at the game, but Western played a very aggressive game, I thought. A lot of fourth downs. I mean, it was a little windy.
Well, the defensive coordinator was the
head coach.
was the head coach for this.
And that defense played great, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of good defense from Western. So kudos to them, and I look forward to seeing some more Western games.
Yeah, a lot of fun at Waldo Stadium this past weekend. All right, blowouts and shutouts. We had Pittsburgh over an FCS team, New Hampshire, by the score of, get this, 77-7. It was Texas over Texas Tech, 70-35. It was number 10 Ohio State over a MAC school, Akron, 59-7. And Miami of Florida shut out an FCS school, Central Connecticut State, by the score of 69-0. Hopefully this is the last of the non-conference games where a lot of these schools get to beat up on lower-level FCS teams. I mean, these schools can use the money, the big payday from getting their butts kicked, but I hate to see them really lose by that big of a score.
It depends. Some schools, still schedule some patsies, and I hate calling them patsies, but they schedule these smaller schools throughout the year because, like, you have an Alabama who will end up playing the Citadel the week before they have to go play like Auburn or somebody. So, a school like Alabama will probably still have a cupcake later on down the road. Yeah. But I think for the most part, a lot of these are done. Big Ten schedule should be kicking off and be underway. The MAC schedule's kicking off.
Right.
I think they had a few games in the MAC, or one game last week kicking off the MAC play. So, hey, hopefully, I can't wait to see a lot of these conference games and get some of the who the big players are going to be in college or in the FBS this year.
Right.
So
yeah. All right. Taking a look at the military academies, it was Army over Miami of Ohio, 23-10. It was Air Force over Florida Atlantic, 31-7, and it was Houston defeating Navy, 28-20. Now let's take a look at some of the lower level schools. We'll get a little spotlight to some of those teams. In the FCS level, it was William and Mary over Elon, 34-31. I always love talking about Elon because they used to be the Fighting Christians. And they changed their name to the Phoenix because everybody thought that they were a Christian school, but they weren't. That was just their name. So, but yeah, William and Mary over Elon, 34-31. In Division II, it was Tarleton State over New Mexico Highlands, 40-21. This was the only score that I saw on the entire Division II page on the NCAA site. There were no other scores. I don't know what was going on. And in Division III, there were not any scores for any of their games. So I had to go locally, and I found out that our beloved Kalamazoo College Hornets, Division III school here in town, lost to Alfred University by the score of 10-7. And when I saw that Alfred University, my first thought was, please let their mascot be the Butlers, the Alfred Butlers, Batman.
Ha 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 ha.
But no, they are the Alfred University Saxons from New York. So anyway, moving on. At the NAIA level, it was Bethel of Tennessee upsetting number 6 Reinhardt of Georgia 34-31 in a real squeaker. At the junior college level, the Snow College Badgers had their game canceled with Community Christian, and all I saw on their website was the fact that the team just said they weren't going to show up, and that was the day before the game. So no reason given. I don't know what was going on. But for junior college score, we've got New Mexico Military over Kilgore 37-27. Up in Canada, U Sports, it was Alberta over the University of British Columbia 44-19. And in the Canadian Junior Football League, it was the London Beef Eaters over the GTA Grizzlies 28-3. And I looked this up to see what GTA was, and I'm not sure.
Grand Theft Auto. It's a video game.
No. The team is from Toronto, so I'm assuming that this means the
Grand Toronto Arsony.
Greater Toronto Area Grizzlies.
Okay, I was close.
But if somebody's up in Canada and they know better, let me know. I could not find anywhere where they explained what GTA stood for, but because their home stadium's in Toronto, Greater Toronto Area.
Grand Toronto Architects. No. It's probably an architect school.
But London Beef Eaters, what a great name. They've been around for a while at the Junior Football League level, and I just love that name.
Yeah, it's a very unique name.
And that is it for this week's World of Football Scoreboard.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some NFL news. The NFL announced that this year they're going to have a super wild card weekend.
As if it wasn't already super enough. I mean, shoot, they added an extra game.
Right.
What are they doing now?
This is January 15th through the 17th, 2022. There are going to be 6 wild card games that weekend.
Hold on. So far, that's the same exact thing like last year.
Well, didn't they add another wild card game?
There's 3 games last year. 3 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. 6 games altogether because of the extra team. That's what I'm saying. So far, what you're telling me is no new news.
Well, this is what's super about it.
Okay,
they're going to have 2 games on Saturday.
Oh, so they're taking a game away.
There's going to be 3 games on Sunday.
Okay, well, what are they doing with this last
game? And
game?
for the first time ever, one wild card game is going to be on Monday Night Football.
That is just super, Adam said sarcastically. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
I don't know.
Hold on. Insert Johnny Manziel doing the money hand motion. That's all this is.
Well, that's true. I'm sure they'll get a lot more money.
Money on a Monday night primetime NFL primetime game.
In January. Wild card playoff implications.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's all this is. It's money. There's no reason this should be on Monday night. This almost made me mad. Because, I feel like this is a total disadvantage to whatever 2 teams are the winning team of the Monday night game.
Yeah, they might have a short week.
Depending on how things work out, how the schedule works out.
Saturday,
maybe no matter what, if you play on the Monday, maybe no matter what, you'll play in the Sunday game next week. So at least you get 6 days. But even then, that puts a major disadvantage. I mean, it was bad enough being like having a Saturday game or a Sunday game than playing the next Saturday. I hate this. I know they're professionals, whatever, but I just hate that little disadvantage that comes with that. And I know it's the playoffs and the good teams are going to win no matter what, but I just hate this. I don't know why, but I hate this.
All that matters, son, is that the NFL is going to be making a super amount of money that weekend by moving a game to a Monday night.
As if already having 17 games this season wasn't super enough. What else?
So we'll see how that works out. Cowboys tackle Lyle Collins. It's spelled really funny, but I don't pronounce it Lyle. Lyle Collins got suspended for 5 games after trying to bribe a drug testing official.
Hold on. I want everybody to know. In the notes, it says he was trying to bride. He was trying to bride a drug testing official. So
I know what I'm reading.
I know what you wrote, but it says bride. It does not say bribe. But
I said bribe, and nobody would have known that I spelled it wrong.
You sounded like you about said bride. So he tried to marry a drug testing official, and that's why he's been suspended for 5 games.
He was trying to bribe a drug testing official. And
doesn't it sound like he's still saying bride?
Now, this kid, Collins, he had missed 7 previous drug tests with different excuses. I forget what they were, but they were lame excuses, I think.
Was it like John Belushi and Blues Brothers?
An old friend came in from out of town.
Locust!
I don't know, but yeah, he missed him. He either didn't. I guess he just didn't show up for the other ones, and he finally showed up for this one, and then tried to bribe the guy. But still, he's going to be eligible to return in week 7 of the season.
Jeez.
But from what I understand, according to the collective bargaining agreement, this would be a 2-game suspension. But he challenged it, or what do you call it?
Appealed?
He appealed it, and it went to an arbitrator, and the arbitrator said, "Holy mackerel! This guy deserves more than 2 games." So it was the arbitrator that gave him 5.
Good for that person.
5 games.
How many times do you see that where the arbitrator gets it extended or more added onto it?
No, this is
usually
too
the arbitrator
egregious.
gets it like reduced from 4 to 2.
Right. Yeah.
This you go from 2 to 5
Yep.
games.
I don't know who the arbitrator was, but congratulations.
Give me a T-shirt with that person on it.
You did a good job.
With a Captain America shield that's like shaped like the NFL logo.
Yeah. All right. For the first time ever, we're going to have a little gambling news. Now, I'm not a big
Are
proponent
you gambling? Did
of
you gamble
gambling.
for the first time?
No.
Did you lose money? Are you losing the house?
This was the story last week. One person turned a free $25 bet into $133,000 via a 16-leg parlay through BetMGM.
Man.
Now, they never mentioned who it was. I don't know if it's man or woman, but all he or she needed was for the Lions to beat the Packers on Monday Night Football last week, and
they would have won $726,000.
Yeah.
But instead, obviously, we know what happened. The Lions ended up losing. But
Right.
still, I saw that, and I was bummed for that person because everybody saw the ticket. Everybody was kind of hoping the Lions would win just for this person to win.
Right.
Because come on, you give $25 and you're
it
going
was
to win.
a free bet too. They
Yeah.
they will give you a $25 bet for free. So they make a parlay bet, and they picked every game right that weekend,
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Up until the Lions game.
Yeah.
And for the first half, I bet you that person was flying on cloud 9.
yeah.
But after that, but still, to walk away with $133,000
Before taxes.
before taxes, still like,
So that means he or she's going to get about $3.85.
is that how that works?
Well, kind of, yeah.
Man, taxes suck, y'all.
But I'm not a proponent of betting. I know your brother.
You're clearly not an accountant.
Your brother's done a little betting on his phone.
He's done a little bit. I did a little bit.
He's won a few games.
And
won some
spoiler
bets.
alert: Sisters finally did some sports betting.
She did not.
She did too. I'll
I'm gonna
have you
have to have
text
a
her.
talk
Yep,
with her.
she told me she did. She bet something with the Tampa Bay game on Sunday. So I mean, I bet on NBA games. I haven't bet on an NFL game yet.
Yeah, see, I cannot bet on games because I bet with my heart, and you cannot do that. I would bet for the teams. I bet against the teams I hate, which are all of them but Detroit.
You sound like the lady at the office pool who just picks all the teams every week based on their jersey color.
Well, there was an episode of Cheers years ago where Diane, the bartender, was
Man, so many pop culture
was
references.
winning all the bets because she was betting on the uniforms. Oh, I like this uniform better.
maybe
than
that's
that
what I was
uniform.
referencing.
And that's how she was winning these games.
Maybe that's what I was thinking
And
about.
she didn't know anything about football.
Yep, that sounds like what that was. So it wasn't a real thing I was talking about. It was a TV show thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I just thought that was getting all the news.
Yeah.
That this person had a chance to.
Hey,
win
at least
that.
I got to walk away with something. Like
Sure.
I would have felt bad if that person had nothing after that parlay
Right.
because even 15 out of 16 games, that's impressive. We can't even do that in our regular picks, and we don't even put money down on that crap.
No.
Just pride and
Just dumb luck.
dumb luck. Yeah.
Oh, knock my microphone around.
Jeez.
Okay, let's see. Eli's Places, episode number 4. This was all about recruiting. And
Hold on, you skipped a whole segment. I think
No,
there. You
no.
skipped college news. You went straight from the NFL down to gambling. Let's go back to college real quick. Where the top 4 for next week will be number 1
right.
Alabama, followed by number 2 Georgia, number 3 Oregon, and now entering the top 4. Goodbye Oklahoma. Hello Penn State.
Yeah, I guess that.
And I know this is just the coaches poll. Normally we don't do this till we get
this,
the actual.
This was the Associated Press poll. This
Okay,
wasn't the
that's what I'm
social
saying. This is the AP poll, whatever that's out right now. Normally, we don't cover this until we get to the playoff committee's
Right.
rankings. I do think this is interesting, though. This top 4 has been shuffling around. Obviously, Alabama and Georgia have been steadily in the top 4. Seeing Oregon make its way in there the last couple of weeks. Now
Right.
Penn State jumping in.
Right.
I'm loving this.
And that was because Oklahoma, barely won their game, 16-13. So that allowed Penn State to move up into the top 4. And yeah, like I said, I don't really pay too much attention to this until late in the season. But
Speaking of sister, we have breaking news. We have been invited over to her house for Philly cheesesteaks on Sunday and a Lions game. So,
Ooh. And they're playing the Bears, too.
and I had to say that on the podcast just so everybody could be jealous that we're getting Philly cheesesteaks.
All right.
That perked you right up.
And we're not even playing Philly.
I know, it should have been Chicago deep dish pizzas, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next story is what I'm curious about.
Okay, yeah. Ohio State senior linebacker Kayvon Pope quits the team in the middle of the game against Akron, frustrated by the lack of playing time.
I saw this. I thought this was a joke, but this was everywhere.
Yeah, this got a lot of airtime. OSU was up 35-7 when he left the field just before halftime. Now, so I guess what happened was they were making a substitution, sending some guys on the field, and he ran on with the substitute crowd, and they called him back. And that really upset him. He's a senior. He's trying to finish his
senior season
on a high note, not getting any playing time. So he quits the team. What's he going to do? Is he going to go to another team? No, he can't. So his college career is done. Yeah. Does he expect to be drafted in the NFL? Not anymore. Well, I think he just ruined any chances he might have had of getting a look.
If he wasn't getting enough playing time as a senior, I'm sorry, your hopes of playing in the NFL were probably slim at best.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. Like I said, we've seen guys make it to the NFL on slimmer, well, maybe not slimmer, but come out of nowhere.
Right.
But usually they at least have some sort of regular starting time in college. And I'm not saying this guy can't get a look, but this doesn't look good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you quit on your team literally halfway through a game.
And not just any team, Ohio State.
Hold on, the Ohio State.
I mean, they're number 10 right now in the country, and they've been a top 10 team for years. Yeah, you can maybe do that at a lower
Akron.
level. FBS school, but not at Ohio State. You don't do that. So yeah, I don't think we'll be hearing much from him anymore.
Okay, well, we're pushing up to almost to an hour here, so I don't know how quickly you want to fly through these next few stories.
Okay, Eli's Places on ESPN Plus. It was a decent episode. They talked recruiting, and they talked with Tom Lemming, who was supposed to be the recruiting guru, has been for years. And what I thought was funny, LSU coach Ed Orgeron gave Eli and Peyton a tour of the LSU athletic facilities. That was a pretty funny segment.
I'll have to check that out. I've liked what I've seen from Eli's Places, and obviously if Peyton's involved, I got to check this out. Yeah, and Ed Orgeron is just a character. So
they were pretending that Eli was being recruited, and they were showing him all the stuff. And here, Eli, play some video games over here. Oh, you want a smoothie? Hey, go over here and get a free smoothie and this and that. And he was just loving it. So it was a funny bit, and so it was pretty good. All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. They got a couple more subscribers. They're now up to 495, looking to get to 1,000. Help them out by subscribing to the Arena Football TV channel on YouTube. The game they posted this week was the Florida Bobcats at the New York City Hawks from 1997. Mike Golick was on the broadcast, that particular game. Okay, then we do have a few obituaries. I think we got 3 of them this week. And this is where we take a moment to honor those who made the world of football a better place.
Hey, don't feel like you have to rush.
I'm trying.
I know. I'm just saying you're getting a little fast.
You were telling me we're hitting an hour. So
you do like to know when we've hit a certain time frame. And
you didn't have that up on the screen for me to follow.
I know that was one thing we didn't. Yeah, my bad. But I let you know.
Okay.
I'm just getting hey, heads up. Maybe our listeners like a little extra content. I'm just giving you a heads up. You like to know about the hour mark.
Yeah, well, the whole Detroit Lions talk was.
Yeah. I know we
had a lot to say.
Hold on, we really reined in the NFL scoreboard. I feel like this week just to blow up with the Lions talk.
Yeah.
So
it's different when you're there in person to see something like this. To see history made.
There's a lot of stuff
in a bad way.
Anyway, let's talk about the players or coaches or individuals that made the world of football a better place. And we're gonna throw it over to Randy. We're gonna calm down. We're gonna take things down a notch here. Take a deep breath. Do your breathing exercises like your den mother taught you. And den
mother. All right, our first obituary is that of Steve Riley, a tackle in the NFL for 11 seasons. He has passed away at the age of 68. Riley played college football at USC and helped lead the team to an undefeated season in 1972. He was selected as the 25th overall pick in the 1974 NFL draft by the Minnesota Vikings. He played his entire career in Minnesota from 1974 to 1984 and appeared in one Super Bowl, I believe.
Our second obituary is that of Floyd Sagely, a defensive back and end in the NFL for 3 seasons and has passed away at the age of 89. Sagely played college football at Arkansas and was selected in the 6th round of the 1954 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. He played for the 49ers in 1954 and then spent a year serving in the Army. He returned to the 49ers in 1956 and finished his playing career with the Chicago Cardinals in 1957. Sagely was inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame in 1985 and the University of Arkansas Sports Hall of Honor in 1997.
Our last obituary is that of Carl Pasqua, a longtime assistant coach in college football. He has passed away at the age of 93. Pasqua played college football at Pittsburgh and was selected in the 29th round of the 1950 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers as a back, but he never played in the NFL. He became an assistant coach at the school from 1958 to 1965. He then was the head coach at NAIA levels Waynesburg University in 1966 and 1967. He led the team to an undefeated season in 1966 and an NAIA national championship. He then spent 1 season as the Steelers' defensive line coach in 1968. He was hired as the head coach at the University of Pittsburgh in 1969 and was there for 4 seasons through 1972. All right, we have some birthdays today, September 28th. Halfback Tom Harmon, born on this day in 1919. He passed away in 1990 at the age of 70. He played his college football at the University of Michigan and won the Heisman Trophy in 1940. He also starred in the movie Harmon of Michigan. He was the number one overall pick in the 1940 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears, but he never played for the Bears. He played in 1 game for the New York Americans of the American Football League in 1941. Then he joined the Army Air Corps during World War II and became a fighter pilot, earning a Silver Star and a Purple Heart. After the war, he played for the LA Rams in 1946 and 1947. He was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1954. He wore number 98 and was known as Old 98. He's the father of actor Mark Harmon, who's on all those NCIS or CSI shows. I don't know. I don't watch them. But his son Mark Harmon was a quarterback at UCLA himself. Can you imagine a running back wearing 98 these days? I mean, I know we've got different numbers, but it just seems kind of weird. And, that was a big thing back then where a lot of people like Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside, they made a movie after their college career was over with, the Pride of West Point. And now here's Tom Harmon doing a fictionalized movie of his life, Harmon of Michigan.
You ever seen the movie?
I have not, but I was looking on eBay to see if I could buy it, and I just might have to pick that up and add that to my collection because I do have the one that Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch made about his life. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, then the other birthday for today, wide receiver and halfback Charlie Taylor turns 80 years old. He played his college football at Arizona State and was the 3rd overall pick in the 1964 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. And he was also the 9th overall pick, which was the first pick in the 2nd round, of the 1964 AFL Draft by the Houston Oilers. He played 13 NFL seasons, all with the Washington Redskins from 1964 to 1977. He missed the 1976 season due to a knee injury, and he was the 1964 NFL Rookie of the Year. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1984. All right, and without further ado, let's get into this week's history lesson. And this week, we're going to tell the fascinating story of the origin of the Cheesehead hat. Right around 1986, a derogatory term aimed at the NFL team in Green Bay began being used. That term, mainly used by their rivals from the Windy City, was Cheesehead. In 1987, a 26-year-old man in Milwaukee, Wisconsin named Ralph Bruno was reupholstering his mother's couch. He had been hearing the term Cheesehead and was inspired to create a hat based on the name. He took some of the couch foam and cut it into the shape that resembled a wedge of cheese. He burned holes into it to make it look like Swiss cheese, but then he painted it yellow, a color like that of cheddar cheese. Soon after that, he actually wore it to a sporting event. But it was not a Green Bay Packers game. It was a Major League Baseball game between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Chicago White Sox in Milwaukee. Bruno was totally caught off guard by the amount of positive attention he got while wearing his foam hat. At that point, he realized that he had a unique business opportunity. Soon after that, he took the hat to a company called Milwaukee Sports Service, the retail souvenir provider at Milwaukee County Stadium, where the Packers played some of their home games at the time. However, he could not get anyone at the company to talk to him. He continued to go there every day for the next 2 weeks, trying to show someone the hat that he had created. Finally, someone at the company did speak to him, and he agreed to sell the hats at the stadium on consignment. Because the hat did not look like an actual variety of cheese, there is no yellow cheese with holes in it, Bruno was able to apply for a trademark on the hat design. He created a business called Foamation Incorporated and set up a small factory to produce the hats in Dozman, Wisconsin. In 2016, Bruno relocated the factory to Milwaukee. The Cheesehead hat is their #1 selling item, of course. But their second best-selling item is a giant ear of corn hat that is worn by fans of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The company also makes many more products like bow ties, top hats, fedoras, fireman hats, cowboy hats, sombreros, baseball caps, and tiaras. People can even take tours of the factory. In the end, Ralph Bruno took a derogatory term created by a rival football team in Illinois and created a business and a product that has become a source of great pride for people in the great state of Wisconsin.
I think it's funny that you did this story about Cheeseheads. I don't remember how we came about talking about doing this.
We were watching something. I think we were watching the Monday night game, and they had a picture of the crowd, and somebody was wearing Cheesehead hats, and your mom said, "Huh, I wonder who came up with that."
Wow, so you got her to thank for this.
And it
one.
was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good history lesson.
And what else is funny about that is then I think the next day or when I knew you were doing this for sure as your history lesson on a show. Actually, so it was yesterday. I watched a show on YouTube called Good Mythical Morning. It's like my go-to YouTube show.
Uh-huh.
But they had somebody on their show wearing a cheese head during the episode, so I thought that was very funny and very appropriate. So,
okay,
yeah, just a little coincidence there. But no, you were telling me some of the research that went into this. I didn't know that they made the Cornhuskers corn hats too, and like that was all under the same umbrella. Yep. I just thought this was like a weird little throwaway thing, but no, this is a company.
Yeah, this is big business in Wisconsin.
This is a business.
We may not think much of it here, but in the state of Wisconsin, it's big business and it's serious business.
Do you know if they make the Lions motor helmets too?
No.
Okay, because I saw
everything
one of those
they make
game.
is like painted that green.
That orange.
I'm sorry, the yellowish orange.
Yeah,
it all looks the same. All right, upcoming events tonight. CFL action on the gridiron. I looked to see if it was going to be on TV here, and I did not see it on ESPN or ESPN2, so I have to catch it on ESPN+. But Edmonton Elks at the Ottawa Redblacks tonight, Tuesday night football in Canada. On October 10th, we have the New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. A week later, we have the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, again at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then November 20th, we'll see the end of the CFL's shortened 14-game regular season. And that is everything on our rundown today. Anything else?
The one bit of breaking news I had, which is about an hour old now. I saw it a while ago, but I figured there wasn't really a spot to insert this. But the Lions were talking about trading that linebacker, Jamie Collins.
Yes.
They have ended up releasing him. So they couldn't find a trade partner. They were kind of waiting to see if a team needed a linebacker after this week, and they just decided to get rid of him. So interesting. I mean, they're going for younger guys. A lot of young guys playing on that defense right now. So take that for what you will. And that's it for the breaking news. And I have nothing else. If you're ready to wrap this show up today. I mean,
Okay.
man, we went all over the map.
Yeah. Yep. You never know where we're going to go. We always start.
I never
with-
know where we're
with
gonna
good
go. We have a
intentions.
script.
We have an agenda, and a lot of times we just throw it out the window 5 minutes into
I mean,
the show.
shoot, we talked about Cheers. We talked about Psych. We talked about what other stuff did we go off the rails with? The fact that you spelled bride instead of bribe.
Harmon of Michigan and the Pride of West Point and Crazy Legs Hirsch movie. All those.
Yeah,
things.
none of that's in the rundown.
No.
This just all comes out of our brains.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Yep.
That's what podcasting's all about, everybody.
Well, that's
Don't take
all
lessons from us.
No, absolutely do not.
We
Well,
are the worst.
Shut up. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, videos, highlights, and whatever else from the world of football that you might enjoy. You can also follow our Twitter account, where you'll get a lot of the same stuff and more. That is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and we are also on YouTube. We've been I've been working on the YouTube game for us, and I mean,
Yeah,
we've gotten some decent feedback. We're still working on it, trying to refine our
20
craft.
videos out there right now. haven't you?
Oh, only 20 videos. Yeah.
I said over 20.
Over 20, whatever. Well, when you post like 6 last week, goodness gracious. I mean, I was really working overtime last week for some of that
Get
stuff.
your NFL scores, your CFL scores.
And I'm trying to refine everything, trying to get everything kind of smoothed out. So we're still working on it. What else do you guys
Let
want
us
to
know
see?
what you think.
I'd even be down for inserting other segments. If you like segments where I'm ribbing Randy in the middle of the show, I'll start putting those up. I don't care. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so give us a look, give us a follow, subscribe. We like any feedback we can get. We appreciate any video, good, bad, suggestions. I mean, we tweaked our scoreboard, or not our scoreboard, our picks videos, thanks to some suggestions we've gotten. So feel free to let us know privately, publicly. We don't care. Leave a comment, give us a like, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Once again, we're doing our weekly NFL picks, but this year they're available exclusively on our YouTube channel. So look for them every Thursday throughout the NFL season.
Yes, those are a lot of fun to put together, and
Yeah, you like editing those and making me look silly.
I mean, hey, when you give me some good one-liners, I'm going to make sure to highlight that. Or when you end up choking on your own words.
Well, we'll see how silly I look this week. All right, and remember, folks...
You're not wearing a cheesehead, are you?
No.
Okay.
Some people may love football more than we do, but nobody loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you next week.